Here we go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We back with another episode of Straight No Chaser Cowboys podcast with yours truly, my man JC and D Brown. What's up?
Hey now.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias, man, for those over south of the border.
There we go.
Out there in España. What's up, man? All right, y'all. So we're back week 3. Damn, week 3, episode. Yeah, week 3, which is episode 3, but season 4. Man,
there you go.
All right, man. So let's go ahead and hop into it, man. Let's talk about when them Saints came marching in. When them Saints came marching in.
Stomping in. I would have taken the march. They stomped in.
They stomped in with mud holes.
And they stomped Dallas while they were here, and then they stomped their ass out of here with a second line right after the game. I mean, it could not have been a better New Orleans-centric weekend for the Saints than what they did at Dallas last week. It was surprising, ugly. I if you certainly view the Cowboys embarrassing. You favored by basically a touchdown, but man, that thing got ugly immediately, and it got uglier as the game went on. That was the damnest thing I'd seen. It's like it's like the noted underdog comes out, catches, the favorite with a haymaker, and the favorite never recovered, and he just swarmed him on him the whole time. They didn't stop him the whole game. Completely took him out of what they was up. What's up, Will? And that was it, man. I mean, it was. Now I know we're gonna get into some specifics, in terms of scheme, in terms of players, in terms of attitude, and some other things we talked about pre-show. But man, first of all, we not the show that mounts excuses. That was an ass whip. Saints came in here, played an outstanding football game on both sides of the ball. They played better, they played harder, they played smarter than the Dallas Cowboys, and whooped their ass at AT&T Stadium. And that, in the words of the great Forrest Gump, and that's all I have to say about that.
Worst defensive half of football I have seen in the history of the franchise, and that includes 2013 Denver and 1998 Denver, where Terrell Davis and Ron Smith and Shannon Sharp unloaded for 35 in the first half. I think Aikman got hurt trying to run for a first down. The Cowboys were kind of scoring with them. He hit Ernie Mills on a big pass. There's a name from the pass.
Ernie Mills.
It was real reminiscent of last year. When Green Bay came to town, they didn't make a single not a single play, not a one, not a stop for no gain, not a single play. I mean, we've talked about them getting worked, in terms of not all the time, but enough times over the past 3 years for the shit to be alarming. How they get worked in the run game. Well, you add length of the field plays and chunk plays to giving up 6 and 7, 8 on first down. And yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. I was so disappointed and disgusted that I kind of had to stop and say, hey, man, and this kills me to do. Because, again, I've said before, everybody else but the Cowboys sucks as far as I'm concerned. Screw them. Got no love for them. But I am a realist. And yes, I do have a lot of disdain for the Saints. But, again, common theme here, man. Got to give them credit. Got to give them credit. They came out, and that was as good as you could do it. That was as good as you could do it. That was a tough one to watch.
It was. I was on vacation, so I was in and out on the game. So it was painful to step away from the beautiful, backdrop that's in Santa Barbara to watch that garbage, man. And the reason why it was garbage is because just at all phases of the game, man, we just could not do anything with them boys, man. Like, need Alvin Kamara to run the ball, no problem. gaping, gashing holes, man. Just getting to where, second level pretty handily. Getting behind our secondary pretty handily, man. Just couldn't put the top on, couldn't put the lid on the damn offense. We couldn't stop them up front. It just was like when you put Madden on easy mode and you just trying shit out. You just see if your play actually gonna work, and everything works. Everything's pitch and catch. That's what it looked like to me, man. Like we put up no resistance on any level to be, and to be honest, the score looked semi-respectable at 44-19. It really looked like 50-58 to like 7.
Or nothing. Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. That's absolutely fair.
So that late game score don't mean shit to me because I know what I was watching the whole game, and it was a team that just handled us from start to finish. And like JC saying, like I really loathe Saints fans. It's just I got my reasons. We can have a whole nother stream about that.
Right.
But yeah, it was an embarrassing loss, man. And we'll get to this in a second, talking about, speaking of how they were hitting on all levels, that was just a stark contrast from OC to DC. And we're talking about Kubiak just out scheming the hell out of Zim, man. So D Brown, you want to pick that up, man, some of the things you saw with some of the matchup problems from the two coordinators.
Well, what I saw, man, was teaching tape. And if you are not teaching tape, not in a good way. And what I mean by that is that this is a carryover from, those offenses. And to our credit, yet again, we talked about this last week. It's like when we were talking about the matchup, it was like, man, let's watch to see how Dallas would handle an offense that looked a lot like the ones that gave Dallas huge problems last season. And I'll be damned if they didn't go out and do it, which is a lot of heavy pre-snap motion and killing them on the edges. And because of that motion and because of that hesitation, and Dallas can't dig in and fire because they know how things were going. So that hesitancy is what killed them. That's the teaching tape. That's kind of a bad thing. So for those that don't know the history, so young Kubiak, who called one of the more beautiful, that was just from a pure football fan standpoint, I'm watching this like, man, this dude had a plan that was flawless. And to the team's credit, they went out and executed that plan flawlessly. So, but the backstory there is that young Kubiak was on Zimmer's staff once upon a time. Don't know if a lot of people knew that. So there was some familiarity with tendencies, with alignments, with calls, and timing, and when to do certain things. And I'm literally sitting there watching the game like, okay, they get this pre-snap, they're gassing them to the edges with Kamara, and they're getting 8, 9, 10, 11 a pop. I don't even think they saw third down to their like the 20th snap. I said, man, and then that play action and those deep crosses are going to kill ass, and I'll be damned again if they didn't do just that. So I think that familiarity, Kubiak to Zimmer, that is, played into this. It looked like he knew basically what the old man was doing, how he would react. It kind of looked like those, which I've become a huge fan of. It kind of looked like those, oh my God, I just went to Greg Maddox videos where you just see into the mind of the guy is like, I'm doing this knowing I'm going to play this guy this way down the road. Those Greg Maddox videos are coming up more and more. And that's what that thing looked like. I mean, Kubiak was so well prepared and kind of knew what Zimmer or how Zimmer would react to certain sets, success on certain plays, and just played them. So, what's up, Nico? Will Jerry Jones finally step down? Answer that question. No, they will find him dead at his desk. That's how he's going to step down. So, but I love the question. But man, to land it, that was it was and just like we talk about players, and we've talked about it on the show over the years, coordinators have bad weeks. Coordinators have bad days.
For sure.
And for Mike Zimmer, albeit obviously very early in the season, that was a really, really bad Sunday. Now, with Zimmer's experience, Obviously, they get motivated from getting their asses handed to them because the guys with the helmets and the shoulder pads got their asses handed to them. Well, guess what? The young coordinator, the young Jedi, young Luke, gave it to Darth Vader Sunday, right? So we'll see how, for all you Star Wars fans out there, so we'll see how the old man adjusts, particularly with some personnel decisions, most notably DeMarvion Overshown, who played curiously, few snaps, particularly with what his strengths are now. He's still young. He's still getting his game feet wet, if you will. But I have to think that on some of the stuff where they were killing him, that this is that some of the strengths that he has could have helped. But overall, another tip of the cap to Kubiak and just that staff. Just completely out scheming and out executing what Dallas did. And that's alarming if they can't get this thing right. The upside is it's week 3. They got time to get it right.
There you go. And shout out to Nico again. Nico Savage says, wait there, man. I remember I'm a Ravens fan. This is a beef segment. Oh, man.
Yes, easy to forget when you're 0-2. Easy to forget Nico when you're 0-2.
Yeah.
Just had to get that in there. It can't be all dog pile in the Cowboys all the time. All right.
It's America's favorite pastime, dog pile of Cowboys, man. Don't let them
no
down.
100%.
I wanted to touch on, following up DB's erudite points about the coaching matchup, kind of what happened on the field. And it's going to be a growing trend. We are seeing, with motion, in addition to motion, they were chipping Micah, okay? But more importantly, they were doubling DeMarcus Lawrence. And the nuances in terms of the success that they had in running the football, and we go back to last year, we were talking about what Buffalo and what Miami did, and these teams that were able to run the football against Dallas, is their, a zone play is an option run. It's an inside run as opposed to numbering the holes. Y'all hear us talk about the 4s and 5s, which are, towards the tackles on both sides, odd right, even left, that kind of thing. Offenses, 15 years or so ago, 10, 12, 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, they started going to load and zone, which zone is inside, load is outside, gives the runner the option. What we saw last year was kind of a zone load approach where the running back would start inside in a zone look and then bounce it. Okay. Not super wide, but to the 4s and 5s, as we said. Well, the strategy was brilliant because, again, chipping Micah, okay, that's never a bad thing. But hell, man, Haley, Taylor, Reggie White, all the greats have to deal with that. But yes, a good move. Doubling Lawrence was really smart. And you watch how they did it. You watch how Saints did it. There wasn't any push and then out. They hit it. They just hit it straight to it. Why? Defensive tackles, nothing. Nothing. Nada. Zero zip. And that's being nice. This group, your primary one techs, okay, the trio, they have one tackle between them in 2 games. Now, I know that those guys are not going to be big numbers guys, okay? I get that, all right? But we saw some instances, I don't even know if y'all want to get into big boy, all right, that just got put on IR, all right? That's a fiasco in and of itself, okay, and a microcosm of a word that I'm starting to associate with the Cowboys as an organization from the top down as it relates to these unbelievable, we're not on Facebook, so I'm going to go ahead and say it, unbelievable fag outs that happen, all right, with these cats, the flopping. And the word I keep coming back to is less offensive than the F word, incongruent. There's something with the organization that is, and it's all are involved, that is incongruent. It just does not add up. This thing kind of blindsided me. But again, props to the Saints and how they got down. They did the damn thing. But we need some guys to show up. We need some more guys to show up. They have problems in coverage on the bust. You know, that kid, 22, like he's like a 4-2 guy. Okay. Carson's got to get hands on him.
Mhm.
He's got to get hands on him and at least, you know, do the push, pop, turn and get high on him because he's faster than you are and then take off and run with him. You see both the safeties flailing over, right? And if Carson could have slowed him up just a little bit, then maybe Micah could have got there. Okay, but again, you know, and of course, here's the theme with Micah. Like we used to say back in the days, man, when we were hooping, and I know you guys can dig it, right? You get it going and you say, you can't hold me. You can't hold me, right? Well, you can say that about Micah. You can't hold Micah, but the meaning is different. He literally, by virtue of the rules, can never be held. It does not matter if you're grabbing outside, if you're climbing him, if you're dragging him, no hold. He can't be held. Okay, cool. Got to get over that. I know we had some discussions, and we've always said it's always back to the head coach, back to the quarterback. We had some discussions, okay, about wanting Dak to come through, okay? We need Micah to step up. We need him to step up and affect some games, okay? And you know, there are other cats, too, that are not showing up. If you want to cut the linebackers a break because the D-line's getting washed in the run game, I'm fine with that, all right? But we have other D tackles. We have a 3-technique D tackle, O'Diggy, who's thought to be pretty good. Haven't seen a whole lot out of him in the run game. And I'll say this, and I want to get to it going forward before I land the plane. In the NFL, as
I want to learn a new word, baby.
That's it, man. Now, y'all got me. I told you how I am about cool ass phrases. All right, I already told you that. All right, so you know I'm gonna roll with that. Right, you know what I'm saying? I'm rolling with that. When you look at collegiate football, okay, the NCAA, they expanded the playoff system, and so now you know one loss used to eliminate you kind of from being in the mix, unless you were Alabama, and rightfully so. When you're bogging it down to 4 teams, as good as Alabama has been, you want them to be part of that gauntlet, right? Yeah. Well, now you can have a loss, and you might even be able to get in with 2 losses, okay? Possibly, but you can have a loss now. So what that allows, to a small extent, not a great extent, but juxtapose that with the NFL, right? You can lose regular season games, and it's not the end of the world.
Correct.
Okay, it's not. All right. So that allows NFL football coaches to coach in what I call continuum mode, where you're charting progress. And I don't want to say you don't care about wins and losses, but for the Cowboys to improve their run defense, okay, they're not going to be able to go and trade for my nephew, Jeffrey Simmons. All right, so my good friend's son, Jeffrey Simmons, or somebody like that. They don't have the money and they don't have the capital to go get a dynamic game changer. You know, you're not going to get Chris Jones. You know, you're not going to get Vita Vea. You're not going to be able to do that. You have to make some subtle personnel moves. Correct. And I talked about the thing with the D tackle that got pushed to the sideline and headed to the house. All right, you're going to have to make some moves. Yeah. Okay, but you have to coach in a continuum and work with personnel placement and development. And I'll leave it at this. For instance, of course they could lose this game today. And if they did, the Cowboys, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But if they lost it and you saw market improvement in areas of run defense and the red zone, that's still a freaking problem. When you see these 33 scores and these 19 scores, oh, shit. Brandon Aubrey's hogging out. It was a 4th field goal day.
Great point. Yep.
And you know, it's like, I don't know if y'all saw, I want to say, I think it was week 2. The epic offensive explosion of the Redskins, who hit 7 field goals to beat the Giants in a dramatic OT win, right? Another Redskins. I'm sorry, the Commodores. Commanders. My bad.
Valia. There we go.
Right, like they an offensive explosion of 7 field goals, and it's almost like like a tie, like kissing your sister, a field goal when you hit 4 of them, right? It's like, damn, man, this is 16 points left on the board. So,
yeah,
to that end, okay, they're gonna have to gradually work in a continuum, okay, and again, we've talked about this with the Cowboys. 10-7, 9-8. You got to go on the road in the playoffs. That's just how it's going to be. People forget they won a road playoff game a couple years ago against Tampa Bay. They won a road playoff game. So it is possible. The main thing is you look at it as a continuum and try to get the gradual improvements, right? I think DB was saying don't panic, right? Of course, don't panic. But like my old middle school football coach used to say, boy, you got problems, so you need to make changes. And I think that's where they're at with it. And obviously, as I love to say, it's going to be real interesting to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and it's hard/easy as a realist to kind of compartmentalize where the Cowboys are right now. We talked about this last episode, that it's easy to get caught up in every week's the week for the Cowboys, when the reality is to get to the playoffs, you win a series of 4 different seasons in one season, right? So if you 4-game intervals basically carry you into the playoffs plus 1, which now added week 17. That's how you judge a season. Now we know in Cowboys land, all that be damn. Every week is the week, or we're feast or famine. And how do we know this? Look at your local news channels, not your local, your national ones.
There you go.
Cowboys win.
Yes.
Are they Super Bowl ready? When the Cowboys lose, is it time to get rid of Dak Prescott? Like, the freaking polarization is all over the place. So I set the backdrop with that way because, again, it's incumbent of us as observers, fans, realists, whatever, that you can't get caught up and swept up in all that. No. Sometimes you got to just turn Facebook off a little bit. Let everybody chomp at the bits. Let them do their thing. They'll tire themselves out by the time their team played. Oops. Most of them forgot they even had a team, right? But, it comes with territory. So I'm kind of speaking to the Cowboys fans here. You know how it goes, man. Like, don't get caught up in all that effery, man, because the minutia is where it is. And like the gentlemen were just, describing this, we got to see, are we getting better in the trench work? And that's why I said week 1 that I'm not excited about the season. Like, I know who we are, and I know what we need to fix. And game 1, it looked damn good. Yesterday, we looked right back down to the drawing board, man. Looking weak inside. We getting burnt downfield. Dak, we're going to talk about that in the second half of the show. Looking pedestrian as hell, right? So I like how JC walking it down that, you got to kind of see progress where progress is made, and it's made in small doses. It's made in those little minutia points, because we're not going to go kick the door open and go get, and this is kind of a last year headline, but go get Derrick Henry to solve our run problem. Not happening, right? We're not going to go get some other dynamic wideout, in some crazy trade a la Roy Williams in 2007. Not happening. So we need to be looking at competent moves that are going to help us, in our areas. I know we're just talking here from the goddamn water cooler. Our opinions doesn't matter, but this is what Cowboy fans listening and Cowboy haters alike, realistic Cowboy fans understand that we are who we are, and we got to get these little small things touched up, because if not, man, we looking at the same, like you said, 10-7, 9-8 with a first round flame out, unless we address these issues, i.e. the run game. And we'll talk about that in the second segment as well. There's going to be hallmark, attributes that playoff teams have. And as of right now, we seem to be a lot of glitter, but not a lot of, actual minutia. But we shall see. Today will be another litmus test. You can't get caught up in 2 weeks. Like, again, after week 1, I wasn't beating my chest like we're the greatest team since sliced bread. And to be fair, I'm going to do the same and say that I'm not going to say we're the worst team ever either. So we just got to see what we're made of. We're playing against a quality football team with the Baltimore Ravens. So this is going to be a good testament to see if we licked our wounds, got back to the film, got back to see what we can do. to help neutralize this goddamn 2-time MVP that's about to step through Jerry World tonight. So let me say that. And shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I see y'all keeping it active. Acting a damn fool in there. I see you, man. Y'all hit the like button, man. Listen to the best Cowboy show on this side of the doggone Mississippi, man. So I know we on opposite sides of Mississippi, but that's not the point. So you got JC killer commentary, D Brown killer commentary, man. So listen, man, you're not getting this nowhere else in the world. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. So with that being said, we're about to go into our ever-growing popular part of the show, which is Cowboys trivia time, baby.
Yeah.
Some Jackie Harris.
I love this.
All right,
come up with a couple of gems. I can't wait to see what this week's is.
All right, so for those listening, I try to make these relevant per whatever, I don't know, because it's Cowboys trivia you can throw all over the goddamn place. But anyway, all right, so for this week, our question, so the winner, you will get a $10 cash app, man. So far, the last 2 weeks, we have gotten no wins. What y'all doing? So you got 1 minute to answer this question. Google's your friend. So with that being said, here we go. Today's question is, how many games did Dez Bryant play with the Baltimore Ravens? Since we're going against the Ravens, I thought it's appropriate that we talk about
good one.
Mr. X Factor himself. Throw up the X.
I love it.
Not and spoiler alert, his not so long-lived career with the Ravens. So I hate to do him like that, but it is what it is. All right, so with that being said, here we go.
I love it.
That's right. Start the clock. No looking on Wikipedia or nothing like that.
That's good stuff.
It feels like a trick question to me, man, a little bit, but I don't know.
I got the Jeopardy music playing in my head. This is awesome.
Guys, the music?
I cannot.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, I got the whole Jeopardy music playing back here.
Oh, do you?
Man.
Appropriate. Yeah.
Hold on. No, we got to be a FI issue. Maybe I need to link it to the thing. I'm over here jamming, thinking everybody can hear this Jeopardy music. Boy, I'm over here jamming by myself. Boy, I'm in the party of one. Hoop jargon, party of one. Here now?
I remember seeing them on the field when they played the Cowboys in the Ravens uniform. I remember that. But I also remember some dinky-ass circumstances behind that. And so I was going to say 0 because I thought it was a quick question, but
can y'all legit not hear that music? Y'all didn't hear the music at all? Y'all didn't hear it at all?
Oh, no. I heard
7?
it.
You play 7 games with them?
Hold on, Jason. You can't guess for the people now. All right, let's see. So let's see in the stands what we got. 6. He was a red zone dude. That is correct. 6 games. Dez Bryant played 6 games for the Baltimore Ravens before that unfortunate injury that ended his subsequent career.
Nico with the knowledge.
Nico
nice. You are a Ravens fan, Nico.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Nice.
Nico said he heard the music. All right. Make sure I wasn't going crazy. Man, I was jamming that Jeopardy music, bro.
Yeah, whatever you did to plug it in at the end, it came on. I was with it.
Okay. All right, I see what happened. Okay, I know what I can fix next time. All right, bet. Okay, yeah. So Nico is our first winner, and Nico,
good job.
If you feel comfortable dropping your Cash App, go ahead and do that, or you can inbox me on Twitter on Hoop Jargon, and I will Cash App you that 10-piece, man. So our first winner, Nico Savage, man. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you.
The most spectacular player in Dallas Cowboy history is Dez Bryant. Just watch his highlights. I didn't say best. I didn't say most productive. The most spectacular. There's about a 53-minute highlight reel of him on YouTube, and it's just like, damn. Like nobody could pluck like him. The pluck, that, and then had a body control to get down. Oh my God! And as a punt returner. Cold, man. Cold.
Yep.
He was macho.
Yeah, he was.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable football player. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Absolutely. One of my favorite Cowboys of all time. One of
doubt.
my least
No
favorite
doubt.
players of all time. Des Bryant be tweeting the emotions of a 12-year-old middle school girl. But other than that,
Yeah.
actual football play,
Yeah.
literally one of my favorite Cowboys of all time.
No question.
And hey, as an aside, is it me and again, y'all know I said I hate all other 31 teams, but you know the deep admiration that I have for Baltimore. I think it's pretty obvious. I love the way they do things. I love their organization. Is it me or is it when Baltimore picks someone up? It's like, oh, that dude can ball. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I look at, you look at their roster and it's great. Their drafting is great. When I see them pick somebody up, I'm like, I bet that's going to work, even though it doesn't always work. But it's like, man, that dude can play.
Right.
It's just something about that Baltimore mystique, man. I got to give them that respect.
Yeah, man, some teams just know how to run an organization, man. And whether you like them or not, you got to tip your cap to what they do. I like Boston.
Great Ozzie Newsome. The great Ozzie Newsome. The great Ozzie Newsome.
Because listen, I'm a big, Lakers fans. Everybody know. I do not like the Boston Celtics, but I like how they run their organization. I cannot sit here and hate on that at all. I admire it. So hey, man.
I mean, B-Town has been running things for a couple of decades now. Jesus, man. Like the Sox, the Celtics, the Bruins, the Pats. Hell, man, I remember one week, man, Boston College was in the others receiving votes section of the AP Top 25.
The others receiving votes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and of course, all of the pop culture shit, Wahlberg, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, all the comedians that come from Boston, man, it's kind of been their world a little bit, man, in the way they've been getting down these past 20 years.
There we go. I mean, the truth is the truth, man. So as moving forward, moving right along on part 2 of the show. So we talked a little bit about Micah. So let's go ahead and do that again, man. So and we talked about too that Cowboys, speaking of culture, Cowboys seem to have this culture of all this goddamn talking. Everybody got a podcast, everybody got an opinion, everybody got speaking on other teams. Like, are we? Now I know week 3 is premature to be jumping off the boat. But is that a little bit of our problem that we have guys that have too many of their personal brands, their personal commentaries, that, ultimately a Cowboy says something, it's going to make it to the, a news headline. A unknown Cowboy, even those blind items make it. So are we doing a little bit too much talking as a team?
Yes.
It's like they get the joy of us. Like, okay, the haters get the joy of us, of course, flopping in the playoffs. They also get the joy of us flopping in the regular season. And then us as Cowboy fans, we can't even enjoy wins in the regular season. Because it's like, well, they'll blow in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
shout out to Stephen A. Smith.
We can't win. Their haterism is not only bad.
Yeah, that shit.
It's damn near ruining the season for us, man. And being able to watch it, it's just such a tide of it. And then you start to think that, like, they win a regular season game and they look real good. And we've seen a lot of that lately, man. You don't win 36 games in 3 years and not hog out at some point.
Right.
And it's like, wow, man, I feel real good about these guys. You know what I'm saying? But then now, this season in particular, they get a win. You're like, okay, well, they got to play again next week. We ain't in the playoffs yet, which is a shame. But again, in reality, man, the spectacle that is NFL football, just the greatness of that game itself is always going to pull us in, regardless of how much nervousing may be going on.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, JC. I'll add this. Currently, because I brought this up pre-show, the talk and man, we're gonna call it a spade because what we do on the show. That needs to stop, particularly with Micah Parsons. Mm-hmm. If the notification came up like in the next 10 minutes that he's not doing another podcast, then I'd be all with it. And the reason being is he is a face of franchise guy. I mean, he's one of Dallas's superstars, and being that's a responsibility. There's a mantle that comes with that, which is the undercurrent with all of that is this franchise. let's be real. The reason this franchise generates the discussion that it does is because of its profile from winning. Okay. And they have a fan base unlike anything, even with the affiliates that we like to, the associations, the affiliates, what have you. It's a worldwide fan base. It's the reason why it's the most valuable thing in the world. That doesn't happen just because Jerry Jones. And then there's the fresh fades.
There he is. The Jinkos.
All of that.
Jinkos.
Right. So there's the undercurrent of that. When you have that weight, when you have this team's history, and yes, they haven't won in forever, but it wouldn't matter if they never won shit, like the Texans, right? Or any football team associated, with that, or the Cardinals, or
the Texans.
Anyone.
Say it again. Yeah, or the Texans.
The Texans. Did you mention the
Texans? Yeah. Did I start some shit? My bad.
Pittsburgh has the only fan base that comes close in terms of numbers.
Right. I mean,
that's it.
So there's an undercurrent there. But that said, the barometer is what it is because of because of who the Dallas Cowboys are. Right. And for anybody to deny what they are in terms of an entity, in terms of the team in this league that drives the conversation like no other team, not just in the NFL, but in sports. That's a fact. That's an irrefutable fact. So when you are the face of that currently, and you're not living up to what that standard is, because guess what? All of those that are giving the Cowboys shit, rightfully so, about having not won, you know why that is? Because you're expecting them to do otherwise. That's a fact. That's what nobody on the detractor side will ever own up to. You give a shit because you're expecting them to do otherwise, because that's been the history. Now, it's been history, a long-ass history between the last time it happened and it happened. But like my man JC just said, I mean, their history, even with them having not won a Super Bowl in nearly 30 years, it's unbelievable where Dallas ranks all time still in terms of winning. That's just what it is. The profile is what it is.
First overall.
You represent that. But when you represent that, and then you've had opportunities to write your own chapter, like Dallas has had specifically the last 3 seasons, and you don't get it done, and as the face of that franchise, i.e., like Charles, you sure right, visibility of the star. When you're Micah Parsons, it would be different if it's coming from C.J. Goodwin, and you'd be like, who? Special teams guy. Brian Anger. It's different if it comes from him. Our kicking wonderkin, Brandon Aubrey. It would differ if it come from him. But if it's Micah Parsons, right? And this is where I landed right here. If it's Micah Parsons and you're on your podcast and he's got a little KD to him also. He's a sensitive cat, right? So he kind of takes his platform and pours his emotions out when the criticism comes and, and the team phase come, and his name comes up first as to why they failed. Well, guess what? You've given them, Micah, God bless you, subjective evidence, to give you shit about this thing falling short. Because guess what? You kind of led the charge in this thing falling short. The Dak Prescotts, the Micah Parsons of the world, when it came to crunch time, crunch time being playoffs, the last 3 seasons, you two guys. This is where this thing points in the current edition of the Cowboys. You two guys have come up short. So guess what? You know how to shut them up? Do something. Shut up. Quit talking. Quit getting on podcasts and, discussing roster moves, and quit discussing other stuff external to this. Take care of your own house. Bro, you are that guy now. So the only way to shut the noise up, and the only way to, basically give substance to what the spectacle is, because right now the Cowboys are all sizzle, no steak. You know what I'm saying? All sizzle, no steak. So to get some substance to it, to put that ribeye on the plate like it's supposed to be, go do something. Go do something and shut the hell up. That's where I landed.
Hey, I want to just say this real quick. This is just a quick shot.
You got it?
Before we throw it back to my main man, Cliff. The hatred of the Dallas Cowboys is rivaled in history only by the hatred of Jews worldwide. Okay. It's the similarities are hey, listen, you know you're going to set yourself up. The Jews dropped that "we're the chosen people" blast on the world. That endeared a little bit of hate. The America's team thing, right? You see where I'm going with it?
The world's team.
You see where I'm going with it? And it's nothing against the Jews. It's certainly nothing against the Cowboys. But it is those are the parallels. The hatred is I mean, you could say Auburn, Alabama hatred, Texas OU, whatever, man. Dallas Cowboy hatred and the historical world hatred of the Jew are the only things that really parallel in terms of real hate.
Wow. Hey. Only on Straight No Chaser will you get that opinion. I don't know
if you two gonna love that one, but yeah. Hey, it ain't wrong.
Hot. I mean, out of the pizza oven, hot.
The pizza
oven.
Oh
hot.
Man.
Straight No Chaser, baby.
I forgot what the hell I was about to say.
Room temperature, no cut, no ice.
No. Let me give me a shot of Crown on that one.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, like Parcells used to say, hey, man, you know, Frisco, you know, Baltimore, Philly, they're up to their own ankles in alligators right now.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm going to say this about Micah and we can move on. I see Micah doesn't understand that the thing that makes podcasts great is not only the charisma part, it is the wisdom and the sense of like, I'm away from the game, so I'm speaking about the game as I see it. See, Micah has that Draymond Green KD disease where you're too attached to it.
100%.
You're not going to be truly honest. And when you are truly honest, guess what's going to happen? You're going to give team billboard material. You're going to give people just unnecessary negative attention towards yourself, which we're kind of seeing right now. As people like 3 years ago, everybody loved Micah Parsons. Now it's kind of like you're getting kind of picked through like with a fine-tooth comb about everything you do. And when you don't show up, everybody's on your head because you're becoming unlikable. And maybe Micah doesn't care. But the bottom line is this little persona that you started, I mean, he's only 25 years old. And I'm not saying, I mean, that man forgot more football than I ever knew. But what I am saying is the way it comes off is you don't come off as a expert. You come off as a kid talking about your homies, right? And breaking down film, which you know what you're speaking about. You bring in other guys like CJ Stroud and stuff. You bring in people that people want to listen to. The problem is they don't want to hear it coming from you. Like that's where the whole media dichotomy, that's why it works. That's why generally the better podcasters or the sports personalities, they didn't really play like that. So they don't have these allegiance lines that kind of jeopardizes their content. Whereas you know, Jalen Rose, this dude would not say nothing bad about no goddamn NBA player. So you lose credibility when it's time to really start parsing out, like, okay, who's better out of this player? And when you come with this, oh, we need to just appreciate the game bullshit, you're not giving me nothing with that.
Right.
Like, we want to talk about Jordan LeBron. Give me what you got. I don't want to hear appreciate both players for what they bring to the table. Any first grade teacher, when you first have orientation and everybody get a name tag, you say everybody should appreciate everybody in the circle. Like we heard that shit since we was 6 years old.
ELE, right? Everybody love everybody.
Right. So that's what made, in my opinion, Skip Bayless so good that, you know, now very off-putting, may not be your cup of tea, but guess what? When he says some ill off-cuff shit, you're going to listen in. And while you listen in for the headline, you're going to get a little bit. He does know what he's speaking about sometimes. Sometimes he's talking out of his ass, but the polarization and him just not afraid to call people out, that's what makes people want to watch. Even if, like I tell people all the time, you can watch to like something, you can hate watch too. They're both the same thing. You know what? They register the exact same on YouTube. They register the exact same on the Nielsen report that shows how much, you know, a family watches television. They register the exact same way. So my whole point is, you know what I'm saying? Like, so Micah's trying to be this galvanizing figure that I don't think he is. Got a chance to meet him briefly in person. Well-to-do guy. But it's just like, dog, focus on the football, man. This team needs you to focus on the football. We got toughness issues. We got trench issues. We got moxie issues on your side of football, bro. Cut that shit out, all that commentary, man.
Is there anything to the fact that, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Cliff. Is there anything to the fact that when you do a podcast, okay, and you're active, as you were alluding to, do you get the sense, and in a way I kind of do, much in the way we're talking about how the social media stuff affects our viewing and perception of the whole thing? Does Micah doing a podcast make him celebrate the highs too much and mire in the lows too much?
Mm-hmm.
Does that enhance the up and down emotion in a negative way by reliving it with an audience? Do you think?
Say that one more time. I was kind of reading.
Does him? Okay, so he's, you're doing podcasts. You do them after wins. You do them after losses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we all know how emotional football is.
Correct.
After last week, it was going to the bowl. I mean, after the first week, it was going to the bowl. Second week, it was who are we going to take in the draft? You know what I'm saying? Football is like that. Does Micah doing, and I'm putting it out there, does Micah doing a podcast, much in the way, as I said, that the social media barrage kind of affects our watching of games and perceptions of games? Does him doing a podcast and being active, does that make his highs too high, too much, he's too content, and then the lows too low when he has to relive them on the podcast? Is this adding to it in a negative way? Because we said, hey, Micah, you're a grown man. You certainly could do a podcast if you want to. We kind of alluded to the fact that we felt like it was a distraction. Is it more of a distraction than we know in terms of adding to the ups and downs of the emotions?
That's a great question, man. And I like where you go on that question. And my answer to your question is, with the way sports, you really touched on some really, solid points there with regard to the social media area, right? Because this is, for those of us, like the old Baptist preacher say, a seasoned saints, like
and just real quick, Clipper's right. That'll be a hell of a podcast if they were opening it up and letting it fly.
Yeah.
Okay, Cliff's right about that.
Yeah, no doubt. So the thing is that with the way, because the way we're consuming, the way we're able to access games, the way we're able to consume information now is this is Jetson shit from the 1980s and 90s.
Right. Absolutely.
The 70s and 80s, certainly when I grew up as a kid, when it was the game of the week and all you got was what you got, at halftime, maybe a little bit of post game.
You waited for the Monday Night Football halftime highlights when the Cowboys
highlights with Howard Cosell.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, with Cosell, yeah.
So now with the way things are consumed, so perception is shaped so mumuch quicker and so much on immediate and broad scale now. So to your question, hell yeah, it does, because to bring in Cliff's point, the attachment to it, right, is it, and there's the celebrity before it's earned, right? When Gronk was doing this, right? Gronk was on Super Bowl when he's working on his 4th title, right?
Gronk, and the Kelce's too.
The Kelce's. Gronk is a very gregarious, he's, in terms of personality, like Cliff talked about, boy, he's made for TV. And when even that little stint in between, he retired, went back and played, retired, what have you, he was gold. But guess what? There's a credibility, there's a substance to his celebrity, because Gronk was very active in helping that Patriots dynasty do what it did. Mm-hmm. Michael Parsons is a terrific player on the most visible and polarizing and discussed franchise in the National Football League. But there's no substance. There's no, there's no stake.
Yeah.
There's no stake, just sizzle. So your question speaks to that very thing. I love the question. And so you're right. So the way it comes off, the way the consumption happens, we have the podcast when, like you said, it's Super Bowl after week 1. It's who we draft after week 2. That's exactly that's the way it's perceived because that's consumption, and because
something else to worry about.
Because he's still physically
something else
attached
to
to
worry
it.
about.
Right, because he's attached to it, and because he has the profile of the super high profile team, then you get what you get. So it goes back to the original point. Shut up, focus on right now, get to the part of winning. And I don't mean winning September, whatever the day is, what's today, 24th? Get to winning this game, get to winning the games this year, and get to winning when it matters in the postseason. Oh, and by the way, I'd even reduce my deal to just get to the damn NFC Championship game. Do that. I ain't talking about winning it. Just get to that. Because it hadn't happened since 1996. Get to that. Then we start doing those things. Then we can start adding a little substance. Not a steak. Maybe, some potatoes, some green beans. Not a steak yet. Can't get a steak till you win the Super Bowl. But let's just get to that. So I love the question. I love the question and what it puts out there because I think there's a lot to that.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Answer is yes, it has a residual effect. And the brother just in the chat was saying how he's visibly affected by the losses, being downtrodden and all that stuff. I'd be lying to say I watch a lot of his stuff, but when I do watch his stuff, people tend to accentuate his emotional shit.
Uh-huh.
And what else can you expect from a kid 25 years old, previously 24, 23, and so on and so forth? There's just a certain level, and that's why I led in with wisdom that he just does not have yet. And that comes from emotional control. That comes from understanding that, okay, I'm a player in this orbit that is the NFL. I mean this to this orbit. And my perspective, it casts to this projection level. He's just out there just putting some shit out there and just see where it lands. I doubt he has a target audience. I doubt he's thought about those, long-term ramifications of his words and things that makes you put some shit out. Because like you said, in this new era, it's about information regurgitation. It comes out very rapid. Very rapid. So I don't think he's accounting for those things, and I don't think he cares. I just, again, I'm just tired of it because let's go back to 2 years ago when he was rumored to go on Undisputed with Skip every Tuesday to do a Micah thing, and they end up scrapping it, I guess. But he's supposed to go in there every Tuesday and like in studio. His second year. And so for whatever reason, they end up falling through, and I'm so glad it did. But I'm just like, why are you even considering doing that? You're in year 2. Like, dude, you got so much more to take in. You got so many more darts to take. You got so much more to soak up for you to be on a sports show as a regular fixture. Like, you done won some shit. Now, if you came in and you was the phenom and brought the Cowboys to a championship, have at it, goddammit. Have at it. You obviously know it better than most.
The idea right now, real quick, is just, hey, when you're Micah, and the idea is to work like a slave for 12 years and then be recognized as a king for eternity. That's the idea. You'll have time for podcasts and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? When it's over. But I'm talking about rolling out of the rack, getting your workout in. Then when you recover from your workout, you're in your playbook. Then you eat. Then you're back to the workout again. Then you're back in your playbook. You have dinner with your playbook laid out all around you. I mean, seriously, man. And then take one day off to get completely away. No podcast, no nothing. You and whoever, like maybe Tuesday, which is the day off, and decompress and then get back in that mode, man. There's plenty of talented people everywhere in all types of lines of work and all types of walks of life. What separates them is the grinders, the red asses that just grind relentlessly. And yeah, man, I know it's a task, but you want to be a king.
You got to put the work
Some
in.
people are going to have to die along the way.
Hey.
And you're going to be the one to kill them.
And lastly, before we slide to the matchup today, speak to a lot of what both of you gentlemen and even some of the folks in the chat have spoken to, but particularly you two, is a culture thing. Does this happen with the Belichick Patriots? Absolutely not. Does this happen with the Tomlin Steelers?
Hell no.
Absolutely not. Where's the chin check? Organizationally, from the coach, What happened? Where's the chin check? It's like, Mike, what the hell? Well, does this happen with Parcells' Cowboys? Absolutely not. You know, and then as soon as Jerry says, well, let's let him go and do it, then Parcells is out, right? Because we saw that. So I'm saying this speaks to the overarching point of the culture thing. You know, I don't think this happens in Baltimore. I don't think this happens with the opponent that the Cowboys got today. You got a guy, immensely popular player, what have you. He's doing podcasts and ain't one shit. And I don't think Harbaugh is going for that. I don't think the Ravens organization is going for that. So that kind of speaks to a bigger deal. But I love the discussion point that your question brought up, JC, and how actually it bleeds over into what we're going to see today, because we're going to see a bunch of grinders today. We're going to see a team that's grinding like hell, that's desperate as hell to get a win. And who better to get a win than to play an afternoon, basically, you know, a nationally televised, Tom Terrific back in the booth again, broadcast against, you know, in Jerry World at AT&T. So, I mean, we gonna get that. We gonna get that grind. We gonna actually see the stark contrast of the proverbial lunch pail guys and the celebrity dude. And until the celebrity dudes realize that, you know, in order for the celebrity to actually mean something, to actually have weight, right, you got to do something. I'm going to keep coming back to that. You have to do something. And you don't want to go 1-2, and they sure as hell don't want to go 0-3. So this is going to be one hell of a contest, I think. It's really going to kind of see or kind of set more of a tone as to where these two franchises are going to go and what their mindsets are going forward in 2024. Really surprised that Baltimore is coming in here at 0-2, needing to you know, not go 0-3, and you got that dude right there, two-time MVP, and reigning MVP in Lamar Jackson. And do the Cowboys need to win this game? There's obviously more good than bad. I don't think it's the Titanic falling, but I think you're looking for and putting your hand on the rope to ring the bell because of what you have in front of you schedule-wise. So this matchup gets real interesting with all these dynamics that we talked about coming into this. Gets real interesting today as to who mans up, who shows up, who wants it, you know, and what team really is going to dig deep, have that moxie, and do whatever needs to be done to get a pretty important win for both of these teams early in the season.
Yeah, and that kind of segues us into our next thing. And we'll talk about it briefly and get some score predictions in, because we know Baltimore coming in 0-2, losing a nail biter to the Raiders last week. Kind of a surprising loss. First loss, we know they lost to the Chiefs. You know, the end of the game, very I wouldn't say controversial, but you know, down to the wire loss to Pat Mahomes. No shame in that. So definitely they're looking to lick their chops with a other wounded team. That's the Dallas Football Cowboys. So this is actually the first time that Baltimore has been 0-2 since 2015. So it shows that, you know, definitely that this is in a position they're not used to being in whatsoever, especially having that man back there under center in one Lamar Jackson. So in my opinion, we can look at this two ways. One, that we can be the third team that takes advantage of them licking their chops with their, you know, kind of young offensive line and, you know, get our rocks off and start to, you know, make an impression. Obviously going against Lamar Jackson is no easy task, but obviously it's an attainable one. Two teams have done that already. Watching the Chiefs game, they did a really good job of rushing their front four, and they was causing havoc for him the whole entire game. And listen, we ain't got Chris Jones on our side, but I mean, listen, we got a few bodies. We can move the pile a little bit. So we need to definitely take advantage of that. On the other hand, you know, with the young, wide out plug and play guys they have in for the Ravens, that's when we can get Carson with his getting his shit back on. That's when we can get Diggs starting to get his shit back on. Our secondary can start, you know, being themselves again, because you know Lamar doesn't go over the top a lot. You know, a lot of his stuff is going to be quick out stuff and you know,
tight end.
Yeah, like tight end dumps and shit like that. Like, so that's that gives us some possibility to contain better and get control of a goddamn football game, right? So I'm looking at it from both range of like this could be a bad situation or opportunistic situation. Because at the end of the day, this is not about kid gloves. I'm glad we get a team like the Ravens week 3. Like I don't want to go, roll out the Commodores like JC say, because we stat pad these seasons a lot. We play the Giants, we'll play the Commodores, and then we'll play the Commodores again. And then Panthers, we are 5-1 in the season, and we beating our chest. I'm glad we got a good game like this. The Saints week 2, we got the Ravens week 3 because I want to see what the hell we made of. So I'm personally, again, I'm respecting the competition, but at the same time, I'm very much looking forward to be that third team to put a hurting on them as well.
Nice.
The Ravens and the Cowboys have an interesting stat that they're kind of that they are better than the rest of the league in their history, and I think it's a very telling stat. In the history of total number of games played in your franchise, the Baltimore Ravens have the biggest point differential overall in all of the games they played as a franchise at 3.5. Second is the Dallas Cowboys at 3. Cowboys have played a lot more games, but you see the excellence there in terms of their history. Now, as far as Baltimore goes, that first game against KC, two-time defending champs at home, on the road, everybody's relatively healthy. You can excuse that one, okay? But if you look at last week and everything we talked about last week, hey, man, Detroit got worked. Okay, you saw Philly cough it up at the end, right? We saw Frisco get beat. Okay, and these weren't world beaters that beat them.
No.
So then you see Baltimore get beat. You see the Cowboys get, well, we already know. And you see Baltimore lose to the Raiders. It's like, oh, man, wow. But you can excuse that as a fluke. And I think that they are, my man Nico said, well, y'all got a chance, they're trash. I don't see it that way. I mean, we have a chance, yes. But I don't see them as trash. And, you want to talk about the old circle in the wagons thing. They're going to come loaded for bear. And we had a comment from in the chat room that said that Jackson is really a problem on turf. Hell, man, Lamar Jackson's a problem anywhere. He's a problem.
Yeah.
Period. Okay. So all this. Well, he's a running back playing quarterback. Kiss my ass with that shit. That's the stupidest shit I ever heard.
Look, bro.
This kid, all right. As I said, and of course, I've been wrong on a lot of shit too. Hell, I thought Christian Ponder was going to be a good quarterback. But I said in that draft when he came out with Bake and all those other cats, I said, this is the kid with the most potential. The knock on him was that, well, he had a 56% completion rate in college. Okay, now, I'm a pretty good quarterback for a civilian. Let me just clarify, okay? If I stand in front of you and we're standing flat-footed 10 yards, I'm going to hit you here every single time. If I start rolling around and moving and throwing at different times, there's going to be a little bit of variance, okay? That was his stilo at Louisville, okay? So he's 26. I love the way Harbaugh is behind him. He said, this guy's going to go down as a historical quarterback. He's going to win championships for us. I love it. And how that relates to Dallas is as Jimmy Johnson would say, fiddle farting around with the Dak contract. Okay. I thought that they were playing it kind of cool and taking a calculated risk, and we're going to play it out, man, see what you do. Period. No. We really are. Right. And then they're talking, and you hear they're talking, and it's like, if you were really going to do that, man, that would be negotiating in bad faith if you had no intentions of signing him. So the bottom line is, if you had intentions of signing him, hey, man, sign him and get behind him. Get behind him and start. Look, he is who he is. I think with Dak is an excellent quarterback. And we heard earlier, also in the chat room, don't be in such a rush to get rid of the guy. He's pretty damn good. And it's the looming specter of Chicago. Do you know how much draft capital they have spent? And it's still up in the air on whether or not they have their quarterback. All right. They traded up to get Trubisky. All right. Your boy Lynch gamed him out of a pick and said, hey, people are behind you trying to trade up to get Trubisky. Throw us a 4th-round pick and it's all good. And so Tom's like, hell yeah, throw a 4th-round pick. You know what I'm saying? And move up to 2. So you got that 1, you got that 4th. They gave up 2 1s to the Giants. Okay, there's another quarterback situation, less than average. 2 1s to get Fields. Okay, gone. Now, they use the first pick in the draft on Caleb Williams, and they still don't know if they have a quarterback. And you see what's going on with Carolina, right? And I got a good friend, man, coach I used to coach with, is a Carolina fan, and I heard the local radio hacks saying that, well, you know, you can't put it all on Young. The offensive line is terrible. Bullshit. My boy showed me a stat. Bryce Young had more time to throw than any other quarterback in the league in week 2. 4 seconds. Think about that. They had to make a move. And you're already seeing mock drafts where they're taking Ewers, you know, because like they're going to have the first pick. They're taking Ewers. You want to be, man, you imagine what that does to your franchise. So you not only get the quarterback doesn't work out and you used massive draft capital to get him. You missed out on what is very likely, most of the time, a Pro Bowl or long-time starter at another important position. So now you got 2 things you got to build. You don't want to be in a position of having to solve your quarterback problem. Okay, you just don't want to do it. And real quick, talk about the Cowboys catching hell. When's the last time Washington did anything? Okay, we talk about more decades, more times. Oh, and here's a fun fact for you. Another glamorous franchise, the Miami Dolphins, them some bitches haven't won a playoff game since 2000. Choke on that. You know what I'm saying? You just don't want to be in that abyss of not having a quarterback and trying to find one unless you're going to tell me you got Andy Reid doing the finding or Sean McVay doing the finding. If one of those guys is doing the finding, I'll take that chance. I love Will McClay, and it's not anything against him, but finding a quarterback's difficult, man. It's difficult. A good one anyway.
Absolutely. Drop the mic, JC. Damn.
Bow. I mean,
Drop the mic.
that is. But he nailed it though, man. I mean,
hey man, y'all teed me up. Y'all teed me up, bro.
Yeah, he's the quarterback situation, as he so eloquently put it, is exactly that. And this game features 2 really good ones. I mean, you got a guy in 2-time MVP. I'm gonna shout out real quick to a couple of my guys that giving that love on the show. My man Lake Charles, Damon Brown, and my man Trey Beamer. What's up, little bro? Good to see you on, man. Marshall, I have to address something, and my guy Marshall Nash put out there just a second ago, and I love the activity in the chat. It's been great.
I'm active,
phenomenal in the chat. Love it. But Marshall, I gotta like just big time disagree with you. Whoever loses this game, the season is a wrap. Nothing could be further from the truth.
No, it's
even if Baltimore goes 0-3, their season's not. No, absolutely not. That season, there's nothing close to their seasons being over with.
They're too good. They're too good.
Yeah. One, there's too much talent, and 2, attrition will come into play. You got injuries, you got bad play, you got bad stretches. Cliff put it beautifully last week and this week. It is literally four games, many seasons. Than one. We saw it last year with this team, with the Dallas Cowboys, after the San Francisco ass whipping, right? And then they had that stretch. It was like, man, these guys have got to go. And I think the record was like 4-1, 5-1 for this thing to be worth the damn or be in the playoff conversation. And remind you, at the time, Philly was running away with the East. How'd that turn out? And that was like week 4, week 5. So after the 3rd game, bro, yeah, Marshall, I rock with you, dog, but not after game 3. We've seen that. We've seen, seasons that look really dicey after week 3. And guess what? They turned out and won the damn division. That happened. So back to the matchup, man. I'm expecting 2 really good quarterbacks to play well because they have to for their teams to win. I'm expecting 2 defenses to kind of identify themselves a little bit. I think Dallas has a little bit more of an opportunity as a collective group to. I'm going to relax, man. We love the discussion, Marsh. I think Dallas has a little bit more of an opportunity to right their wrongs because of their personnel, a little bit more so than Baltimore. It's not a huge margin, but I think this game is going to be. I dare say it's going to be a kind of bit of a nail biter, like the Colorado Baylor game was last night. I can see this one going tit for tat. Fourth quarter, 1 or 2 big plays will provide momentum, and then you get the momentum swing back. I think it comes down to the quarterback that doesn't blink in the last 7 to 8 minutes. And penalties will be big in this game in terms of affecting drives, extended drives, killing drives, what have you. But if we could slide towards the prediction part of it, Dallas is a 1.5 point underdog at crib.
Yes.
I can see that a little bit after what happened to them last week. Baltimore's a run-heavy team, kind of feeds into that narrative. But I think they bounced back a little bit, and I think this is the week that Brandon Aubrey saved the day at the end. And I'll go, if we're gonna slide it to the score predictions, I'll go 24-23 Dallas.
24-23 Dallas. Okay. I'm gonna say this, man. On its face, I'm not optimistic about this game. But with more talking, I'm a little convinced. I'm gonna give 2 ifs. If Dallas can get some pressure on Lamar, like I've seen done, I give us a good chance. If Baltimore still has their lack of use of Derrick Henry and lack of run game, that's beneficial to us. So if we can keep that run game down, which we should, because everybody else has been doing it, and if we can get pressure up front on Lamar, I give us a chance. And if those 2 things happen, I can see the Cowboys just doing what we do. Being solid, getting the ball to CD, Dak sharing it around the yard. I'm going to go optimistically 24. Nah, I'm going to go 20. Nah, we're not going 28. 24. Damn, I like what you picked out. I'm going 24-21 Dallas Cowboys. It won't be a great margin of victory. I don't think no team's going to boat race anybody. Neither has shown to do so against formidable talent. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. 24-21 Dallas Cowboys.
So my hope is that we can muddy it up a little bit early and not let Baltimore get any type of offensive rhythm. Keep it tight, bog it back down to a stalemate. Don't be afraid to punt, that kind of thing. Obviously, you want to get a little bit more out of the run game. That's going to be a tall order against B-More. Again, I feel like that, incremental improvement, okay? If the Cowboys lose this game, okay, it's not the end of the world, depending on, of course, how the loss goes down. If this is just an extension of last week, then that's trouble. That's big trouble. Fair. But I'm seeing, and look, I've been wrong every week on the Cowboys, so clearly I'm not the guy to go to. But I see incremental improvement in defensively. I think the offensive thing, is still an issue. They don't have Ferguson. I don't know if he's playing today or not. Little stuff like that hurts, man. Okay, it's not glaring, but it hurts. You talk about red zone. Hey, man, Fergie's a good red zone dude. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And the lack of a run game hurts you in the red zone also, which is more of a systemic type of a problem. Okay, I see this one being pretty emotional. And I feel like the Cowboys are going to come out hyped up. Baltimore's going to come out just as hyped up. Okay, desperation time, if you will. I'm going to say 26-17. I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one. But I think we're going to see incremental improvement, okay, in terms of stopping the run. okay, and making it more of an NFL football game. I mean, that's what hurts. You know, you hear all these great players, you know, you lose a close game by 1 point and they're just devastated. They don't care how much they lost by. In this case, given last week's events, a close game, well played, is a good sign. Okay, it's a good sign that you can build off of going forward. I do think they will play better. Okay, I mean, I had a dream last week, and it was realistic. You could tell I was disappointed. I had a dream that they beat Dallas 38-19, like literally, like that was a dream that I was like, oh man, this is really bad. This is really over. But I think that they're gonna counting on them, counting on the boys. I think they're gonna play better. I think they're gonna play harder. And just as an aside, this is since last week the turn that my life has taken.
Okay.
No more relying on the bootleg. I'm stocking up. I've actually got another case of this stuff.
Oh man.
I'm probably going to start eating it with cereal as opposed to the milk. And it's very stressful times, but it's a fun kind of a stress, man, because football's such a great game. You know, hell, man, in addition to that, I've been eating last night, before I landed, I hogged out. I had penne pasta and sausage, linguine carbonara, and then I got this wild urge to go to the grocery store and give me some grocery store fried chicken. Let me tell you what. Got me Tabasco, good delicious, and chased it with that. My fat ass is picking up pounds like an English bank teller up in this piece. Right? Stress eating, stress drinking. But hey, man, great to be alive, great to be an American, great to be in the great state of Texas, great to be a Cowboy fan, man.
Always.
There we go. All right, so as you guys have it, it's another show in the books, man. Y'all hit the like button. I see we are 21 deep, man. Thank y'all for the communication.
Big time.
Today. Y'all been phenomenal. Shout out to Nico Savage winning our first
third
trivia question, but the first winner of the third trivia question. So shout out to Nico.
LeBron, Lake Charles.
Pick up that free $10, man. All you gotta do is watch the show, man. See, whatever I feel like giving away, that's what the prize gonna be, man. One day it can be $20. Who knows? It was 5. I made 10 today, and Nico cleaned up on that. So thank y'all, man, for pulling up. He said he got the Uncle Shay laugh ad libs. Absolutely. All right, y'all. So have a good one, man. Straight No Chaser podcast, and we out. Tastes like bacon.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Go Cowboys.